Hollywood thrives on meteoric rises and epic downfalls, but Rachel Zegler's saga? That's a whole different level of chaos. One moment she's crowned the next golden girl of cinema. The next, she's buried under controversy and public backlash. So how does someone go from Hollywood darling to industry outcast almost overnight?
This is really a bad movie, and I apologize to Walt Disney himself. I'm sorry.
Rachel's story started like a textbook Hollywood fairy tale. A viral audition clip catapulted her from unknown to unforgettable, landing the lead role in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story remake. Critics raved about her voice and screen presence, while audiences fell for the wide-eyed newcomer stepping into one of cinema's most iconic roles. In early interviews, Rachel came across as humble and awestruck, genuinely overwhelmed by the whirlwind of opportunity that seemed to crown her the next big thing.
Because you just can't close your mouth. You just can't be sane, even when you do open your mouth. I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film, but rather, she deserves to be in a padded cell.
She spoke about the surreal moment Spielberg personally picked her from thousands of hopefuls, a dream come true for someone who'd imagined seeing her name in lights since her teenage years. She teased a fresh take on West Side Story, promising to honor the original while adding her own spark. On the surface, it all looked flawless. Her rise was meteoric, social media embraced her warmth and gratitude, and insiders whispered she was fast-tracking to A-list status ahead of schedule. But even then, cracks were forming. Quiet murmurs started to spread that Rachel, despite her newcomer status, was unusually outspoken, maybe too outspoken for Hollywood's taste.
Behind the scenes, you guys know as well as I do that those executives like Spielberg are looking at that, saying, Rachel Zegler can F right off.
There were early whispers of minor clashes with choreographers, but most fans and critics brushed them off as standard behind-the-scenes friction. Everyone was still too enchanted by the fresh-faced breakout star to notice the storm quietly building. But behind the curtain, things were reportedly far messier than they appeared. As the West Side Story press tour kicked into high gear, leaks began trickling out from unnamed crew members. Some claimed Rachel frequently challenged choreography notes, even halting entire shoots to push for changes that better suited her style. Others alleged she clashed with department heads over wardrobe, insisting certain costumes didn't flatter her or didn't match her personal take on the character. Whispers didn't just grow, they started echoing. Rachel wasn't merely passionate, she was possibly disruptive. Spielberg, known for running calm, collaborative sets, stayed silent publicly. After all, he'd already anointed her as Hollywood's next big star. For most newcomers, pushing back against a legendary director would be career suicide, but Rachel didn't flinch. Some praised her boldness, others called it hubris. Rumors swirled that she critiqued camera angles, challenged editing choices, and even pushed back on lines of dialogue. Longtime Spielberg collaborators reportedly stepped in to smooth things over, explaining that his process was built on trust, not constant negotiation. But according to these accounts, Rachel stood firm, convinced her instincts carried more weight than the decades of experience behind an Oscar-winning icon. For a while, Spielberg kept things positive when talking about Rachel. Early test screenings for West Side Story were promising. Audiences praised her vocals and screen presence. But behind the scenes, insiders said his patience was eroding with each new clash. Remember, Spielberg has guided young talent before, Drew Barrymore, Christian Bale, and many others, yet this situation felt different. Industry whispers grew louder. Spielberg allegedly found Rachel's attitude a serious challenge. One insider claimed he privately called her horrible to work with. If that's true, the remark sent tremors through Hollywood. A director famous for nurturing fresh talent was now sounding an alarm. This wasn't just criticism, it was a storm warning for every studio. Spielberg never confirmed or denied the whispering about friction. That silence was deafening. He showered Ariana DeBose with praise, calling her performance mesmerizing and highlighting every win. Rachel, meanwhile, got only polite nods. Industry insiders started wondering aloud, was Spielberg holding back approval on purpose? The questions rumbled like distant thunder. Then Rachel landed the title role in Disney's live-action Snow White. On paper, it looked like the part that would lock in her superstardom. No one guessed it would spark her stunning downfall. Disney bet big, over $250 million poured into the budget.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Executives banked on nostalgia and star power, hoping to repeat the success of Beauty and the Beast. Pouring hundreds of millions into Snow White felt like a sure bet. A princess, a poisoned apple, a redemptive kiss. What could go wrong? They pictured a new generation falling in love just like audiences did in 1937. But controversy hit on day one. The dwarfs were scrapped for vague magical beings, classic moments vanished, and fans felt the charm was gutted. Bloggers and YouTubers churned out rants within hours. Then Rachel made it worse. She called the original film creepy and branded the prince a stalker. Those comments didn't just annoy viewers, they sparked a full-blown revolt among Disney loyalists. Could any amount of pixie dust salvage the hype?
Interview clip that you read the quote from, but she's gone on to talk about this film numerous times, how she once thought Snow White was creepy, she doesn't like the prince, she thinks she should get paid more because she has to wear that dress, she should get paid for streaming, for every hour she has to wear the dress. I mean, talk about biting the hand that feeds you.
By the night Snow White finally hit theaters, moviegoers were already side-eyeing the screen. The launch turned into a record-breaking flop, so huge that Disney brass called emergency meetings before the first weekend was over. Reviewers shredded the remake, branding it hollow, preaky, and desperate to look modern. They said Rachel's princess felt empty, and that verdict triggered a tidal wave of brutal one-star posts across the internet. Inside Burbank, panic alarms blared. This film was meant to anchor Disney's parade of live-action classics, but it crashed into cautionary tale territory instead. Every savage headline splashed Rachel Zegler's name in bold, blaming her for the box office nosedive, and viral interview clips only poured gasoline on the fire. Fans were furious. They felt she treated a treasured childhood icon like an outdated relic instead of honoring it with reverence. This felt like disrespect on a cosmic scale, especially after months of hype. Yet even that backlash might not have wrecked her reputation if she had responded differently. Instead, her reaction sent the controversy into free fall. When a movie bombs this hard, most stars reach for damage control, apologies, humility, a promise to learn. Studios issue carefully worded statements, agents beg for silence, and fans usually soften. That is the usual road to forgiveness. Rachel chose another route. Reports say she blamed outside forces, hinting that hype for the coming Minecraft movie smothered Disney's marketing push. To fans, it sounded absurd, like blaming blocky pixels for a poisoned apple. Within hours, the internet turned her excuse into a meme factory. Memes of Snow White holding a pickaxe flooded every feed, mocking her rationale.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Satirical clips stormed Twitter, TikTok, and every feed. In each loop, blocky Minecraft heroes knocked Disney princesses aside with captions shouting, "Snow White got boxed." Rachel hoped her explanation would calm the storm. Instead, it detonated. Fans wanted an apology, or at least a nod that loyal Snow White supporters felt betrayed, but they heard silence. Rumors spread that Rachel declined press interviews as the negativity grew. Instead of a humble apology tour, she stepped back, making it seem she only smiles when the spotlight is friendly. Critics pounced, replaying her own quotes to paint her as proud and out of touch. Each replay sharpened the image of a star drifting farther from her audience. Fans who once cheered Rachel as the dazzling newcomer from West Side Story suddenly felt duped. Had Disney and Spielberg's PR machine pulled the strings all along? Then another hit landed. Spielberg stayed silent. With flop after flop, many expected him to step forward and set the record straight, but his refusal spoke louder than any headline. In Hollywood, one quiet director can thunder through every studio boardroom. Spielberg is famous for lifting unknown actors into the spotlight, yet on Rachel he said nothing. He never denied the rumor that she was horrible to work with, and he never defended her either. Instead, he let the accusation hang in the air, an unspoken warning that echoed across the industry. Spielberg's quiet non-response rippled through Hollywood like a silent verdict. Studio heads, producers, and agents grew wary, sensing danger in the air. Reporters rewatched every West Side Story press clip, hunting for tension, raised brows, tight smiles, carefully chosen words. They looped moments where Spielberg praised Ariana DeBose with gushes of pride, yet offered Rachel only a polite nod. Truth is, no one outside his inner circle knows what he really thinks. Still, the common belief rings clear. If Spielberg had good words for Rachel, we'd have heard them by now. Even during awards season, he cheered the rest of the cast with warmth, while Rachel received lukewarm mentions at most. This chill wasn't limited to West Side Story, it shadowed every new headline with her name. After Snow White tanked badly, many thought Spielberg would step in to calm the storm and cool the gossip. Instead, he stayed silent, arms folded, eyes down, and the quiet felt like a thunderclap. In Hollywood, silence is a headline. Insiders now whisper that Rachel's phone may soon stop buzzing for leading parts because the most powerful voice in film appears content to let the rumor mill roar on. The darker rumor is brutal. A stealth blacklist could be forming around her name. In this town, relationships decide if you soar, glide, or crash. Two public disasters, one tied to Spielberg, another stamped Disney, have left Rachel waist-deep in boiling water, and every agent, manager, and casting chief can feel the rising heat. Some insiders insist Hollywood will forgive almost anything, as long as you spin a new story. They say Rachel could pivot, issue a heartfelt apology, or dive into humble indie roles to rebuild her credibility. Studios love a comeback tale, they remind us, but they will only back a star who shows real change. Yet that road demands deep humility, honest reflection, and a public admission of her share in the chaos. Meanwhile, fans and power players keep asking the million-dollar question. Can Rachel rescue her once bright career, or has the Hollywood juggernaut already sped off without her? True or not, the swirling rumors have turned her rise into a flashing caution sign, proof of how fast the spotlight can flip from blessing to curse in an industry ruled by perception. One minute you're the industry's golden discovery, showered with cheers and headlines. The next, your face fuels savage memes, while backlot whispers label you difficult. In Hollywood, survival takes more than raw talent. It demands grace under fire and lightning fast course corrections when the spotlight turns harsh. So is Rachel's downfall just a sharp stumble before a spectacular comeback, or a permanent side road away from superstardom? Only time can reveal whether she wins back the trust of directors, fans, and the powerful executives who once boosted her skyward. Hollywood craves redemption almost as much as it devours scandal. The biggest lesson here: fame can vanish in a flash when rumors, hard facts, and box office flops collide. So form your own theories about blame, or decide if this downfall is blown out of proportion. In Tinseltown, perception flips faster than a headline. Tomorrow's news could lift Rachel back to glory or drive the last nail into her Hollywood coffin, and until that breaks, the whole town waits in breathless suspense for the next shocking twist.